Alright, so I know that these Michael Myers Halloween mask ranking videos have been made before, but I just wanted to give my own take on it and talk a little bit more about my personal least favorite and most favorite Michael Myers mask in the entire series. So that's what I'm going to be doing here today in this video. And I also figured that it would be a perfect time to do it now because it's actually Halloween morning as I'm recording this. So I thought, what better time to make a video like this about the Halloween movies and about the masks of Michael Myers than on Halloween Day. And also, I thought this would be a great channel introduction, um, just to kind of show what kind of videos I would be posting on this channel, or I guess one of the many videos, because I plan on posting a lot of different types of horror-related, scary videos. So I thought this would be a perfect intro to that. But I also want to say that I will be excluding the original Halloween mask from Halloween 1 and 2, and I'll get more into them at the end of the video. And I also will be doing a bit of a bonus list at the end of the video, but I'll get more into that at the end. So, anyway, let's get to my personal opinions on the masks of Michael Myers. Alright, so starting off this list with the worst Michael Myers mask, in my opinion, and I also think that a lot of people would have this opinion. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 mask. This mask is just weird. I don't know what Rob Zombie was trying to do here. It's a okay looking mask for not being a Michael Myers mask, but the fact that this is technically a Michael Myers mask, that's why it's on this list as the worst mask. The fact that you could see his whole face here, or I guess half his face, even if it isn't whole, half his face is just too much to be showing for Michael Myers. But yeah, this is just not a good mask. Like I said, if this was any other mask for any other kind of character that wasn't Michael Myers, then I would be okay with it. But this being a mask for Michael Myers, it just defeats the whole purpose of what makes him scary, and it just makes him look like a homeless dude in a half Michael Myers mask. But yeah, so that's the worst Michael Myers mask in my opinion. And the movie itself as well. I think people would agree that the movie, you could tell it's a Rob Zombie movie for sure. All right, so next up on the list we have Halloween 5, and that mask is also just like a weird looking mask. I mean, the movie itself is okay in my opinion. I will say that the mask is I will say that the mask at times with the right lighting does look kind of creepy. Overall, it's just a weird looking mask. I think this is probably one of the more commonly hated or disliked masks of Michael Myers. It's just a weird looking mask, and it doesn't even really look like Michael Myers at all. And it's also technically supposed to be the Halloween 4 mask because this takes place on this, well, at least the opening scene takes place on the same night as Halloween 4, and they even use footage of Halloween 4 as an opener with the explosions and the cops shooting Michael. So this mask technically being the same one from Halloween 4 just makes this a lot more funny because it's such a different looking mask, not just compared to Michael Myers in general, but to Halloween 4. So yeah, this mask, it's just weird. But again, I do like the movie, and the mask at times can be scary. But overall, I just think that this is a really crappy looking mask. Next up on the list, we actually have Halloween 4, and this mask as well just doesn't look like Michael Myers. It kind of has a resemblance to the William Shatner Dawn Post mask, but it doesn't even look like Michael Myers. The hair is wrong, the eyebrows are there. There's no features. It just doesn't look right. And the movie itself, I will say, the movie is was also okay for me. I do enjoy watching Halloween 4, but the mask is not it. It changes appearances as well throughout the movie. There's a bunch of other masks that you can see being used, most notably the tan pink mask or whatever in the school scene. But the mask that they use for the rest of the movie, this it's awful. But again, in the right lighting, it's actually kind of scary. But when you're looking at it in the broad daylight, or if you're looking at it under a brighter light, it looks weird. So next up, we have the Halloween H2O mask. Not the K&B, but the Stan Winston mask. This mask honestly isn't that bad. I've always believed that this probably would have been the closest looking mask to the original and also the best looking mask out of all of them if they were to have changed the eyes because the eyes are too big. That's one of many problems with this mask that myself and so many others have is that the eyes are way too big and you could see so much of Michael's eyes. And also the hair. I think if the hair was better, this mask would have been perfect in my opinion. I think this would have been the closest to the original that you can get if the eyes were smaller and the hair was different. This just looks pretty pretty good. But again, the eyes being too big and the hair being stupid looking just makes this mask that much more awful. It does sit higher on the list because of that reason. But yeah, at the end of the day, uh, I thought the movie was actually pretty good. Probably, in my opinion, one of the better Halloween sequels after the original two. But yeah, good movie, shitty mask. Next up, we have the Halloween Resurrection mask, which is another mask that had potential, in my opinion. The only issues I had with it were not the facial features. I think that's another common dislike about this mask is the features and how angry Michael looked. I actually thought that was another scarier part of the mask, showing how angry the mask was made to look. I like the extra features that make it look like he's kind of mad. But the only thing I had an issue with was just the shading around the mask and how dark they made some places, which I'm gonna assume was done for lighting purposes to kind of make it look good under light. So there's a lot of shadows that are seen on the mask. But I felt like they could have done that without the extra shading on the mask, but it's still a good mask. Even in brighter scenes, it's actually a pretty cool looking mask, but still not the best. The movie itself, obviously, not the best either. Probably the worst Halloween movie out of all of the original series. And when I say originals, I mean pretty much from Halloween 1, excluding Halloween 3. I go from Halloween 1 to Halloween Resurrection when I talk about the original franchise and the original movies. Even though there's a lot of continuity issues and timeline issues and reboots and lore issues, I always just count Halloween 1 to Halloween Resurrection as the originals. And then there's the remakes, Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2, and then there's the 2018 trilogy. So anytime I talk about the original movies, I'm talking about everything from Halloween 1 to Halloween Resurrection. Anyway, on to the next mask. Alright, so the next mask on the list is the Rob Zombie Halloween 2 Dream Sequence mask. This mask is actually pretty pretty freaking cool in my opinion. Again, it's Halloween 2, so the rest of the movie after this kind of sucks, but I think that this whole dream sequence was just this section of the movie was the best in the entire movie. After that, it just was awful, but the mask itself from the dream sequence, even though it's kind of starting to fall apart and you could see a lot more of Michael's face a little bit, kind of his forehead and a little bit of the side of his face. It's not as prominent as the later mask used for the rest of the movie. I think the blood on it and the look of the rips actually, I think it makes the mask look pretty cool. It's if only they had kept the rest of the movie with this mask and this look, I think it wouldn't have changed my views and opinion on the movie, but definitely would have changed the way I looked at the look itself with the mask and the coveralls, because giving Michael this look for the first 10 minutes of the movie and then switching over to a hobo attire with a mask that he mostly doesn't wear, I think is just weird, because this is actually a pretty badass looking version of Michael Myers. Um, just the blood and the rips of the mask and that whole scene was just brutal. So yeah, I think this would have been the best look for him for that movie, but it sucks that they had to use that look that we saw for the rest of the movie, because it was awful. All right, so next up on the list we have Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 mask. This mask is just a pretty badass looking mask. This is the version of the mask that Michael gets after escaping Smith's Grove Sanitarium, and he goes back home and he rips up the floorboards and takes his mask out. And I thought that whole sequence was pretty cool. And I actually like Rob Zombie's Halloween 1. I thought that that movie was pretty good. And the mask itself looks pretty cool. I like the idea of them, instead of using the white clean mask that has been used throughout the series, they had a different approach to Michael and had this version of the character where a more aged and rotted mask. It fit the tone of the movie. It fits Rob Zombie's style, and this is definitely better than the second movie, and the mask is definitely better than the second movie mask. But this mask right here is just great. I love it. I love the look. I love the style of this Michael Myers. I love the brutality of this Michael Myers. I think that this mask is just overall just very cool. All right, so next up on this list, we have the clean version of the Rob Zombie Halloween mask. Um, this version of the mask is honestly perfect, in my opinion, when it comes to masks after the original, because every mask after the original is trying to embody that look of the original. It's not supposed to be a one-to-one accurate representation of the original mask, but it's supposed to look similar enough so that you know who you're looking at if you were to see a picture of any one of the sequel masks. But this mask is, because it's supposed to be the original mask, it looks the closest that you can get to the original. I think that this mask, even though it didn't get used, I would have loved to see it get used later on in the movie. I wished it was this mask. I still think that them using this mask at the beginning was a cool way to kind of pay homage to the original and show off the clean version of the mask before we eventually get to the rotted version that adult Michael has. But this mask is like, there are shots in this movie where kid Michael is wearing this mask and it just looks awesome. I mean, the lighting just makes the mask look that much more better. But I just think this is such a perfect version of an actual mask that is supposed to look like the original mask, and not just a mask that looks similar enough. So great mask, good movie. Overall, I love this look of Michael Myers with the clean mask, but I still think that uh, the Rodden mask fits the tone a little bit better than this one. But I like the fact that they used this mask in the beginning. So next up on the list, we have the Halloween Ends mask. This mask, I think, is another cool mask that shows off the rotted and aged and weathered look. Um, I love the 2018 trilogy's version of the rotted, aged mask, which I've always thought that Rob Zombie's Halloween laid the blueprint for that look of the mask, with the aging and the weathering and the cracks in the paint and the mask. It's just the look of the mask itself. I think that Rob Zombie's helped lay that blueprint, but this mask is pretty cool. I like the look of the buildup of kind of the mold on the side mixed with the burns from kills and the aging of the 2018 version. I like how it kind of bleeds into each other. You get half the face covered in the 2018 weather. You have half the right side covered in the 2018 weathering, and then it kind of fades into the kills, burns, and then it goes into the ends, mold and cobwebs look. I think this mask is a pretty cool looking mask, and I actually think the movie was pretty good. I know there was some issues going on there in that movie, but overall, I think the movie was honestly not that bad. It was different, and they actually did something that they never really had definitively done before, and that was kill a version of Michael Myers and not bring him back or tease that you're going to bring him back. Because they've killed off Michael Myers, quote unquote, before, but they brought him back, or they've teased that they were going to bring him back, even if they didn't deliver on it. This one actually showed that they definitively killed this version of Michael Myers. So overall, movie was good, and the mask was pretty cool. Next up on the list, we have the Halloween Kills mask. This mask is another cool mask in the trilogy. I like the half burned face. I'm glad they didn't actually burn the whole face. I like the half of the face being burned and then the other half being kind of cleaner in a way. This is a look we haven't really seen Michael wear before. Technically, he has had a burned mask before, but him actually wearing this mask with the half burned face and going around and slaughtering half the town is a pretty cool it's a pretty cool looking mask and a pretty cool version of Michael. Another brutal version of Michael throughout this trilogy. I think this is really where you start to see the brutality of Michael come in a lot more throughout this movie, especially at the end when he kills the mob that were trying to jump him. I like how he kills every single one of them. But yeah, this mask was a pretty cool looking mask, and the movie was actually a pretty good movie as well. I actually really liked this movie. Um, Although the whole Evil Dies Tonight thing was kind of stupid, I thought the movie was still good. I did like how they continued where the first movie ended. They kind of picked up where that left off, and it took place in the same night, kind of like the original two movies. So yeah, I think that the movie was really good, and the mask is just amazing. Next up on the list, we have the Halloween 2018 mask. This again, as I've said before, a great a great representation of the rotted mask. Um, the whole rotted mask look, I actually really love. I know other people have just would have preferred that they went with the clean white mask. I still really do like the whole rotted and aged look of both this version of Michael and the Rob Zombie version of Michael. Although Rob Zombie overdid it, after the first movie, he kind of overdid it. I still like that version of Michael as well. I think this mask looks closer to what the original hero mask looks like now. It's kind of rotted and it's falling apart. Although this one's not falling apart, I think it kind of looks more like how that mask looks now. But I still like this look. When I first saw the poster for this movie back when it was coming out, the first poster that was released, I just immediately loved. I fell in love with the mask because of how much I loved Rob Zombie's. As soon as I saw this one, I could tell that yeah, Rob Zombie's definitely, in my opinion, he laid the blueprint for this look of Michael Myers. But this mask is a great mask. The movie was great. If they were to have just done that one movie and ended it how they did, I would have been fine with it because I actually really liked that movie. I like that version of Laurie Strode, and I like this version of Michael. This is just another really brutal version of Michael that throughout this trilogy you just see him get more and more and more brutal as through each kill. I mean, he even in this movie, this was this was a pretty brutal start to this version of Michael. But the mask is just it's amazing. I really do love this mask. Next up on the list, we have the Halloween Kills flashback mask. This mask is just perfect in my opinion. I think there's just no issues with it. I think this is a mask that is also supposed to be the original mask, but this is actually a true one-to-one version of the mask that needed to be made because these are flashbacks to the original movie. This isn't just a remake of that mask. This is supposed to be that original Shatner mask, and I think that they did a perfect job at replicating that look of the original mask for these flashback scenes. I think that opening 10 minutes of Halloween Kills with the flashback sequence is just it's perfect. I like what they did with Dr. Loomis. I like the look. I like the tone. Like I thought it was just a cool sequence, and being able to actually see this version of the original 1978 movie, where instead of Michael escaping after being shot by Dr. Loomis, they caught him on the same night. So it was pretty cool to actually see what this version looked like of him escaping, but being caught. A great sequence, a great opener to the movie. Even though the movie got weird near the middle to the end with the evil dies tonight, I still really, really, really love this mask. Um, I guess I would say that the only other nitpick issue I have is just the color of white they used. In some lighting, it looks pretty good. The white of the mask looks a little off. I don't know how to explain it, but honestly, the good outweighs the bad for me, and that's not even a bad thing. That's just a really small nitpick I have, is just the white that they use for the mask. But overall, I think this mask is perfect, a perfect representation of the original mask. I think it does it better than the Rob Zombie one. I think this one, because it's supposed to be the original, they made sure that every little detail was was not missed. And I also like how you can still see a little bit of that 2018 look, because I still think that the 2018 mask does look a little different, just probably the way it's worn and the way it was made. It does look similar, but it looks a little different. I think that this being a combination of looking like the original, but also still looking like the 2018 mask, I just think it does help fit the two movies together. But yeah, this mask is just perfect. I really do love this mask. And I'm really hoping that they can use a mask like this or this mask when they inevitably reboot the Halloween movies, because this mask is just perfect. All right, so the final mask on this list, and in my opinion, is the best looking mask in the original movies and the closest to the original that has ever been seen on screen, in my opinion, has ever been seen on screen, is the Halloween 6 mask. This mask is the best looking mask in the entire series after the original two movies. I think that this mask is the closest that they have gotten to replicating the look of the original while not trying to make it exactly like the original. I think in even in the brighter scenes where you see the whole mask, in the darker scenes where there's shadows highlighting a lot of the features, any moment this mask is shown, I think is just perfect. Um, I think this is a very scary version of the mask, and this is another pretty brutal and crazy version of Michael. I like this mask a lot. I like the fact that you can't see his eyes at all. Um, I mean, even in the original, you could still see his eyes at times. This one, you can't see his eyes at all. Even in the brighter scenes in the hospital, you can't see anything. There's nothing there, which I really like. I like that you can never see his eyes, and the look of it. It's not a complete white mask. It's almost like a little bit of an off-white with gray mixed color. I mean, even though it's a different color and there's different textures on the mask, I still think that this mask is just the best looking mask. This mask would probably be second on this list, and the first mask on this list at the very top would have been H2O. If H2O had smaller eye holes and better hair, this would have been second, but because H2O had those issues going on, this one is on the top of my list. Just a great looking mask. I like the movie, both versions actually, but this is just a perfect looking mask that really, really does have that look of the original that we were lacking up until this point. And even the movies after, like they don't hold up to this mask. I feel like this mask is just is just spot on to the original, without actually trying to be a direct copy or remake of the original. Overall, great movie, great mask, great everything. All right, so that is the end of my personal Halloween Michael Myers mask list. Um, that is the of everything after the original two movies. That's pretty much where every mask ranks for me. These movies overall, regardless of the mask and the tone and the stories of the movies, at the end of the day, I really love these movies. The Halloween franchise is my favorite franchise of all time. Favorite horror franchise and favorite horror movie of all time is the original Halloween. But as far as the movies in general, all of them from the originals to the remakes to the reboot, I still love them. I still enjoy watching them. I love The Mask. Even though I have opinions on each one, I still love each mask. Like they all hold special places in my heart. Even though there's many looks of Michael Myers and they're not consistent, I still like each version of the mask and what they were trying to do. But yeah, even though the looks of Michael Myers has changed, I still will always love the character. I'll always love the movies, and I'll always love the mask. But I like how they do change the mask for each movie, intentional or not. I do like the fact that each movie has its own unique version of Michael Myers. All right, so now I'm going to talk more about the honorable mentions of this list. These aren't going to be ranked at all. This is going to be me just talking about the other masks worn by Michael Myers that aren't his regular iconic mask. Um, Starting with the original 1978 clown mask that Michael wore as a kid. This is a pretty cool mask. We don't really see it longer than like 3 seconds, but for the brief shots we see it, like when he puts it on through his POV in the opening, and then when his dad takes it off, it's a pretty cool looking mask, and this is another iconic look of Michael as a kid. This clown outfit. Next up is the Halloween 4 clown mask that Michael had in a brief 2 second shot, that happens in the costume store when Jamie sees him for like a little bit before she ends up bumping into the adult Michael Myers when he puts on his mask. Um, Another cool mask, but yeah, it is different than the original, but I still think it's a pretty cool looking mask. Next up is the Rob Zombie Halloween 1 clown mask, the one that Michael wears as a kid. Yeah, this one looks just a little better. Um, and Michael got to have first his first kill in this mask. This is a pretty cool mask. I like the look of this one. I think it's a little better than the original and the Halloween 4 clown mask, but still, it's a pretty cool mask. Next up, we have the Rob Zombie Halloween 1 escape mask. This is another cool mask that I actually really, really like. This like jack-o'-lantern pumpkin mask that Michael wears when he pretty much escapes Smith's Grove all the way till he gets to his house and he puts on his iconic mask. This one is a cool mask that he has, that he made himself. I like the whole, but yeah, this was a pretty cool mask. Yeah, that's about it. I know there's a few other masks that I'm probably missing from this one. I know there was that one mask that he wore in Halloween 5. I can't remember what it was called. I know that Trick or Treat Studios sells it. I think it's called the Butcher Mask or the Brute. I think it's called the Brute is what it's called, the Brute Mask. That one he wore to disguise himself while he was driving the car. Um, that one, yeah, I thought about including it in here, but it just didn't seem like it fit for these masks because these were masks that were worn by Michael before he wore his regular mask, and these are kind of like the pre-Shatner version of Michael, what Michael wore before he got his iconic Shatner mask. But yeah, all right, so that's gonna be it for this video. It was kind of long, but I just thought I would kind of go in detail, at least for the most part, and talk more about not just the mask, but the movies themselves. Um, I still like the masks, all of them. Each of them have a special like place in my heart, and the movies themselves as well. I feel the same way about. Even though I have opinions on each movie and each mask and each look, overall I still like these movies, and they're still always going to be my favorites to watch, especially during this time of year. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this kind of introduction to the channel, and also just my opinion on each version of Michael Myers and his look and the movies. But yeah, anyway, if you like this video and you are a fan of everything horror related, um, then feel free to subscribe, because I will be making a lot more videos like this and just everything related to horror movies and games and stories. Those are the types of videos that I will be posting on this channel. So, but yeah, so I hope everybody watching has a nice Halloween, and I will see you in the next video.